Hi all of you. In today's video I will be doing more deep dive into some more networking concepts like an IP address. So let's just get started. So now you can see on the screen what is subnet mask. So in simple word I will you can just read one sentence that a subnet network is a logical division of an IP address. That's just you want to know, and after that I will show you how you can uh, find a subnet of an IP address. So let's move into another slide. So what is private IP address? So private IP address is something that you have seen like in your school or in your colleges, like there is one lab of computer and there are many computers. So to communicate between a LAN, which is local area network, between many computers which are placed right there in your lab to communicate with each other. So in that case they do not use public IP, they use private IP. So in that case we use private IP. So I will show you practical by uh, explaining what is IP address. So let's get into the another slide. So just remember that class A has IP at private IP from 10.0.0.0 to 10 dot the maximum value. So class B has 172.16 and from 172.31, and the host part is maximum. And C class has 192.168, and it is the it has only single address. So now you can see that only B class has uh, various address like 172.16 to 172.31, but as you can see here 192.168 to 192.168, and the host part is again maximum. So just to remember, you can note it down. Also network ID always represented by 1, so host ID is always represented by 0. So you just have to remember that. And to calculate the IP address which you can give to a LAN, to a local area network, so I will be discussing about that now. So now I am opening my whiteboard to explain you. First I will explain you what is subnet mask. So let's get started. So for example, I am taking a IP address. So let's take a IP address like anything. I can take 11.10.44.66. So if you so first I want to tell you, those people who are new to this video and who haven't watched any my video of networking, so for those people I will write all these octet. So these are octet. So these are octet, and 8 8 8, and here also 8. So yeah, so these are 8 bits, these are all bits. Okay, so when you add up 8 4 times, it will be 32. Okay, so now my question was that how to find subnet mask of this IP address. So first I have to rub this. Now to calculate the subnet mask, you just have to see first question. Just ask question by yourself that three questions you have to ask. First, what is which class this IP address belongs to? First question is which class, and the second one is how many network ID and host ID it has. So how many network ID and host ID. So I am writing with my mouse, so don't judge me on this writing. So another question will be that calculate calculate the bits. So these three questions you have to ask by yourself. So now let's just do that thing. So now I am calculating the subnet mask of this address. So what will be the subnet mask? So first I have to check that what is the class of this IP address. So this IP address has class A because as you can see it is starting from 11, which means it has class A, it belongs to class A, and it has only one network ID. As you can see, one network ID, okay, and rest of them are host ID. Okay, so we got two answers. Now I will rub again. So we got two answers. Now we have to find our third and the main and the last answer, which is to calculate the bits. So it has 8 bits. Okay, so what you have to do, I have already told you that the network ID is always represented by 1 and host ID is always represented by 0. Okay, so now you will do one thing, that make all the octets have 8 bits. So now what I will do here, I will write 1 8 times. Okay, so now you can see that, so I have wrote this 1 8 times. So when you add this is in the binary, so when you add this it will become 255, which is the maximum value of our octet. So rest of them are the host ID, and the host will remain the same, 0.0.0. so this is our subnet mask of this IP address, or you can say this is the subnet mask of class A IP address. If it would be class B, so you can do this, or if it would be class C, so you can do this, because in class C you have 3 octets which are reserved for network ID. So now you can see that you can also do this. So yeah, so I think the concept is clear to all of you. So now I am jumping on to the private IP concept. So let me just rub all this stuff. So now you can see that I have wrote a new IP address. So let's have an example that I have purchased this IP address, and now I am giving, so now I am giving this IP address to my computer lab, and my computers are 100. So I will divide IP address, this I will give this IP address as a private network in my computer in my lab. So what you will do, how you can calculate. So first thing is to calculate is you have to find first is the network ID. So what is the network ID of this IP address? So you can see this is a IP address which belongs to class B because it is under 191. So it belongs to class B, which means we have two network ID which are reserved for network and 2 octet which are reserved for host. So now you have find that. So now next question is to find a broadcast ID. So how broadcast ID you can find? So to first you have to find network ID. So what is network ID of this IP address? I will write. So you can see that we have two network octet reserved for network. So this is your network octet, and to find network ID you have to do 0 to all the host octet. So I can do 0. So like you can see that this is my network ID of this IP address. If I want to calculate my broadcast ID, so what is broadcast ID? First of all, so broadcast ID is something like you have 100 computers or many computers in your lab, and you want to declare that tomorrow is holiday for all the students. So you have to convey the message to all computers. So how can you convey them? By using broadcast ID. So to calculate broadcast ID, so how can you calculate broadcast ID? You just have to do network ID remains the same network ID remains 200 here. Now coming on to the host octet. So not doing 0, you can if you do 255 in each octet, it means that this is your broadcast ID. So now you can see that this is our broadcast ID and this is our network ID. This is our network ID. Okay, you have to do host part 0. Just uh, remember this simple way, and to find that to find the ID, to find the broadcast ID of that particular IP address, you just have to do 255. Okay, yeah. So now coming to the last question: how can you calculate the IP address? So how many IP address can given by this using this address? So you just have, first I will drop this. So now calculating IP address, how many IP address can be given by this address? So you just have to do this, like this is our host part. So how many bits are reserved for host part? It is 8 bits, and in this case again 8 bits. So 8 plus 8 means 16. So if you do, so there is a formula, 2 to the power, how many bits do you have? So this is bit minus 2. So it means that there is something, if I calculate 2 to the power bits, which means that 2 to the power 16. So 2 to the power 16 and minus 2 is equal to how many computers I can give to lab or something else, which means how many addresses are extracted from this particular address. So the value comes like so value will be something like 6 5 5 3 4. So 2 to the power 16 is 536, but when I minus 2, so it will become as you can see, I have already wrote 2 to the power 16. Yeah, so this is my, so this number of computers I can so this number of computer I can assign this IP address, not this particular IP address, but yeah, I can use this many computers in my lab. So yeah, that's what I want to show. Now I want to show some more concept, guys. There is one concept left. So I just want to explain you all that that how to convert a number into binary. So in last, not in last, in some previous videos, I have already explained this concept, that how to convert a decimal number into binary. So don't follow that concept, because I think I have explained it wrong. So now I am doing it again. Like you have IP, let's assume that you have an IP of anything, you can take 11 and 12. Okay, so this is your IP. If you want to calculate, first let me write all the numbers, the 8 bits. So I will write in this block 1 and 2 and 4 and 8 and 16 and 32, now 64, and then 1 rotate. I think 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Let me check again. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So you can see that my total 8 bits are there. So how can, so many of you are thinking that how can I calculate this value? So you just have to do one thing. 2 to the power 1 is 1, and 2 to the power 2. So 2 to the power 1 is this. Okay, 2 to the, so you have to, because the number starts from 1, so 1 you have to take random, and so you have to take one mandatory, one is mandatory, and after that you just have to increment the power of 2. So now 2 to the power 2 into 1 is 2, 2 to the 4, and after that you increase this by 3, so it becomes that 4. And if you do, so when you will be on this 7th, so you will be on this, so now you can see you have total 8 bits. So now many of you are thinking that how to calculate, like you have 166 and now you have to calculate 166. So in previous video what I've made a mistake, that I always teaching you all that you just have to think above this number, above this value which you want to convert. So this is the wrong strategy. So the right technique is to what is the smallest after this number. So like you can see that. So first I want to tell you that the first step is to check the smallest value of your current number which you want to convert. So like if I do 166 minus 128, so now you can see that, or you can also do plus, like there are two different techniques, like you can do like this way also, or you can do like 128 plus 128 plus 32. So what is the value of this? 10 5 6, okay, 160. So you have now you can see that you, so let me I think this is the best way, this is the best technique. So don't follow this technique. I think this is not that much accurate, so this is much accurate than that. So you can see that now I am at 160, so 160 is pretty much closer, so 160 is pretty much closer than that of 166. So now you just have to so now you just have to add 6 into 160. So how can you add? By adding 4 and by adding 2. So now your number is 160. Let me just, so now you can see that you are 166. Okay, so let me rub just this all the stuff. So now how to calculate, like I have used 128, so let's just, so you just have to think that, so you just have to think like this, who have helped me to make that 166 your number. So 128 help you, yes. So 64 helped you, no, so make it a 0. 32 helped you, yes, it helped you, so let's make 1. 16 helped you, no. 8 helped you, no. 4 helped you, yes. 2 helped you, yes. And 1, no, so make it 0. So now you can see that this is our decimal, oh sorry, binary value of this number. If you want to I will show you another way, like if you want to calculate the binary of 12, so what you will do, so what is the smallest value, just smallest value as compared to 12. So you can see that here is 8, which is just smaller in this table. So in this table there is 8, so you will write 1 here. So now you have to think like this, how many number you will need to make it a 12. So now you need 4, so now make it 4. Now your 12 is completed. Now make other 0 and don't count this because we don't count. Also you can do it like this, 0 0, so this is belongs to this. So yeah, so like this you can calculate into binary, any decimal number into binary. So I think the concept is clear to you all, and now I am closing off this video, I am ending this video. I think all the concepts are now cleared. In future videos, like in next 2-3 videos, I will be teaching you all like what is subnetting and why it is important, what is subnetting and why it is important, because it also plays a major role in networking concepts. Also if you are learning a cloud, any cloud, it plays role very well in that field also. So make sure you know every concept of networking. So now I am signing off, and I will meet you in my next video.
ਉਹ ਜੱਟ ਹੱਸਲੇ ਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਏ ਖਾਬ ਰੋਜ਼ ਨਵੇਂ ਫੜਦਾ ਏ